Thank you very much, Professor Bloomberg. And our next speaker is Zohar Rozenberg, Chief Strategy Officer of Elron. And I would like to tell you one word about Elron. Elron was the first mini or micro high-tech conglomerate. Elron was the first company which initiated and built the foundation of the high-tech in Israel. It was run by a visionary engineer by the name of Uzziah Galil, and I'm talking now in the early 60s, and was funded by another visionary by the name of Dan Tulkovsky. As far as I'm concerned, Uzziah Galil and Dan Tulkovsky are the true fathers of the Israeli high-tech. You go around Israel and you will see many executives which were inspired or were actually working for Elron. And for that reason, it's really a pleasure to have one of the senior officials of Elron joining us tonight. Mr. Rozenberg, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Excited to be here on Cybertech USA today. My name is Zohar. I lead the investments in cybersecurity startups for Elron. What I'll be discussing over this session is the VC perspective on cybersecurity sector during COVID-19 and in general. Hope you'll find it interesting. So first, just about Elron. We are an early stage investor based in Tel Aviv. We invest in Israeli entrepreneurs. We're focused on enterprise software and cybersecurity. We've been doing that for almost 60 years. Elron has been the first VC in Israel, established back in 1962. We partner with great entrepreneurs to build meaningful companies. Elron has built some of Israel's biggest high-tech companies today. Over the last decade, from 2010 to 2020, we've had $1.5 billion in exits. We have today about $300 million under management, and we continue to do that continuously. We have a lot of experience in investments. We have a unique partnership with Rafael, which is probably the deepest technology enterprise in Israel, which provides our portfolio companies with a lot of value, such as beta site, design partner, and many other aspects. And we really feel that it's our responsibility, it's our legacy to continue help building the Israeli high-tech, and that is what we like doing. So I want to discuss how COVID-19 impact the cybersecurity sector, and afterwards I'll describe a few trends that as a VC we're very much interested in. So to begin with, surprisingly or not, cybersecurity is one of the few sectors that didn't suffer any significant hit by COVID-19. Moreover, in some verticals of cybersecurity, there has been an accelerated growth because of the COVID-19 effects. Things like working from home, which dramatically changed the threat landscape. We've seen 700% increase in phishing. We've seen a strong increase in SaaS adoption, faster cloud migration. You can see here that a survey of CIOs found that 70% of them have accelerated their digital transformation as a result of COVID-19. As we all know, as technology progresses, as IT extends, so does cybersecurity issues extend, and that goes hand in hand with increased cybersecurity budgets and needs. So there's a lot of optimism for the cybersecurity in that sense. Even though during 2020, there were some budget cuts for cybersecurity. Again, most CISOs surveyed answered that their budgets for 2021 are expected to grow for cybersecurity. We feel that cybersecurity just right through COVID-19, riding on the wave, and then, as I said, in some aspects, it's even growing. And We can see, at least for the publicly traded companies in cybersecurity sector, the result of this accelerated growth. It's very, very clearly visible. You can see that cybersecurity stocks leaped forward since March. March was really the toughest time of COVID-19 till now, at least. Those companies have also reported significant growth in revenues, and the market cap has grown significantly. What we see here is that the high growth cybersecurity companies left the S&P 500 far behind, and some of them already also did almost 3 times what NASDAQ did in that period. And again, it's really since March and April, so that's quite astonishing to see that. Cybersecurity market has dramatically changed over the last decade. When we look at 2010 to 2020, so the number of public cyber companies has tripled, so to say. The market cap almost 5 times. There's been a strong maturity of the market, and it signals a very, very strong market. It's funny to remember that somewhere around 2015, some people in the VC ecosystem consider cybersecurity to be a sort of a past opportunity, but as we can see, that is really, really not the same, and that's a very, very strong market. There is also a good pipeline of potential IPOs for the next 12, 18, 24 months. So everyone is expecting that trend to continue. Cybersecurity still is in first and most the private sector. Most companies are still privately held. And when we look at what that aspect looks like, so it's also very, very good. It's amazing to see that the first half of 2020 makes the largest first half for cybersecurity M&A volume to date. And again, during March, April, many thought that we're going to see killer valuations and we're going to see a lot of M&A transactions that are like on the floor, but it's the complete opposite. Also with financing, a very small decrease, but still first half of 2020 is the second best for financing since 2011. And as we see also multiples for M&A keep growing. And again, in 2020, during COVID-19, exit multiples were 5.6. So that's quite amazing. It's a great space for entrepreneurs and VCs alike to be in. So all signals are that this is just going to continue. So we've seen that it's a great market to operate in, and I want to highlight 3 trends that I think every startup and VC operating in that space should be aware of. Those trends have begun before COVID-19, but COVID-19 definitely strengthened those trends, accelerated them in some aspect. So the first one is the size of seed rounds. We did the statistics on all seed rounds that were published in Israel in cybersecurity over the last 2 years. You see the numbers here, and it's funny, just a few weeks ago, IBC issued a report on financing in Israel, and they shown a significant decrease in seed rounds in Israel, but that was across all sectors. When we look at cybersecurity, it's the complete opposite. When you look at those numbers, if we exclude pre-seed rounds that are under $1 million, so 75% of seed rounds were $4 million or more, and 18% are $7 million or more. It's funny, again, only 4 years ago, we thought that the seed round growing from 2 million to 3 million was crazy, but now really 4 is the new 3. And the more astonishing fact is the amount of larger than $5 million seed rounds. That is a very clear trend. There are also other seed rounds that have occurred that aren't published yet, but I can assure you that they follow the same statistics. And we know that even during COVID-19, those seed rounds with those magnitudes have continued the same way. Now, there's a lot of sense in increasing the seed round. Things are more expensive. If you look at the salaries for cyber experts or for strong developers, salaries have grown dramatically, so it costs more. It takes more time to reach initial revenues because the competition is harsher in the cybersecurity sector. And also the threshold or the demands for a good A round has also increased, so it's more difficult in some ways to reach a good A round. So you need that bigger seed that allows you a good enough runway to reach strong achievements and to be able to reach a good A round. However, that goes along with the second trend, which I'll mention in a second. So VCs have always tried to invest in the best teams and competing over human talent, but that thing has also changed, shifted, moved dramatically over the last few years, and moreover during COVID-19, where VCs look for much less risk. These are uncertain times, and VCs who are always not very fond of high risk are looking to have even a smaller risk. So what we see here is that after a decade or more of really very, very good years for the cybersecurity sector with hundreds of exits, there are today hundreds of second-timer entrepreneurs that have already made significant experience in cybersecurity startups. They're coming in for a second or third round. And for VCs, that is a very strong risk reduction because those people have the experience, they've been there, they've done that, they know what to do, they know what not to do. It's very valuable for VCs. So VCs are willing to put more money on those type of entrepreneurs, give them very high valuations on the seed round because they see it as far lesser risk. And what we see is that there is sort of a social stratification of founders, really a classes system where those that are second timers or very high profile individuals, they will see very large seed rounds with very large valuations, while others less reputable, less experienced will see smaller rounds, 3 million and maybe even less. And there in the middle, some people that are sort of in between. The thing is that creates a very different jumping off point. If you start off a company with $6-7 million seed round, your A round is going to be much stronger than a company that started with $3 million seed round. It's almost a fact. And that creates sort of unequal opportunity. For the long run, I'm not sure that's the best thing for the cybersecurity market because first-time entrepreneurs can have very good disruptive ideas, but they might not get the same chance as others with maybe lesser ideas. So today for the VCs, from the second-timers, it's a very good place because they all win the bigger rounds, the less risk. But for the long run with the industry, I'm not sure that is the best place the industry needs to be. And we need to see how that will continue over the last 2-3 years. The third trend is a shift of the potential buyers ecosystem. So over the last decade, we've anticipated Microsoft, Cisco, Palo Alto Networks to be the leading companies in acquiring startups. We've seen already a shift towards private equities, Thoma Bravo, Insight Partners. They've done quite a lot of acquisitions in cybersecurity over the last few years. But now we're just beginning to see, and I think that will be the trend dominating the M&A environment over the next years, is the new players, sort of the new kids on the block. Still young companies, 10 years or less, that have managed to grow exponentially. If you look at companies like Datadog or CrowdStrike just their stock did 2x only this year. So they have a very, very strong growth. They will need to justify those multiples with acquisitions. They will need to win the market over others with acquisitions. So I think that looking forward for potential acquirers, there's a really strong change in the environment of who are the potential buyers, who are the stronger ones to be likely to buy a startup, and that's a very, very significant change. Startups need to be aware of that, to build partnership with those guys, not only with Microsoft, AWS, and Cisco. So to sum it all up, I think the cybersecurity market was not seriously affected with COVID. After a sort of a shock period in Q2, early Q2, the atmosphere for VC and investment is back on track. We're seeing the volumes of M&A, we're seeing the volumes of financing. It all looks very, very bright. We at Elrond keep investing in new companies, even under the current market prices. So if you want to partner with us, you're more than welcome to approach us. And with that, I want to thank you very much and wish you a pleasant conference.